That is what our education has turned at. Therefore, in the world now, they are focused. They are focused on technical education, on technical acquisition, on channeling the child towards being a better person in the future and contribute into the society, while going into trade-based industry and not industries where the productions.
Hello, Adindu.
And the products is focusing upon now.
All right.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. Let me get down to the UK branch president. Dr. Okori, I will bring you in at this point. You know, there is this argument, maybe based on how our curriculum rather, is being presented, that everything has to happen. Dr. Okori, are you there? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
All right. Coming out from where Adindu just stopped now, people would be questioning, talking about secondary education. What skills do young people often lack when they leave secondary school? Is this really not something we should give attention to? Because they've said from age 4 to 6, you should expect this person to be at this level of education. I know in our climb, we've been saying that you can get everything done at the higher institutions and all of that. So since we are discussing this idea, what skills then, particularly, do young people lack when they leave secondary school, if this has been the case?
Right. Just to add to what others have said, our education, particularly in secondary school, seems to skew heavily on acquiring of certificates. However, there are lots of gaps that have been identified, and speaking to a lot of employers in Nigeria, the key things that they identify is that a lot of the students leave school without practical work or life skills, such as problem solving or critical thinking skills, communication, leadership, time management, work ethic. And then you've got the other areas of digital and model skills, basic IT competence, for which it's difficult for one to get a job or progress without any of that. And of course, the ability to use the digital media for online research, to further one's education. You've got the area of lack of understanding of workplaces and professional behavior, entrepreneurial skills, creativity, and innovation. And often there are parts of the informal educational system where some of the skills are impacted, such as the apprenticeship.
Hello, Dr. Okori. We are struggling to connect with you. You kind of readjust so that there will be seamless connection. Can you hear me, Dr. Okori?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, please, at the point we lost connection with you, you could get back to where you started and continue, sir.
Yeah, what I said really is that our education seems to skew heavily towards acquiring certificates without real life skills, needed for work, entrepreneurship, or independent living. And I was looking in the areas of problem solving and critical thinking, communication, discipline, time management, financial literacy, and of course, basic ICT competence, which will enable students expand their education through online research and information literacy. And then, of course, you've got the bit about the career, understanding what exists in the real world. There is some kind of parallel education that exists in Nigeria, the informal apprenticeship, Iwa boy. They do acquire some of this discipline. And it would be good to bring that into the formal secondary school education so that we produce well-rounded individuals.
All right, Dr. Okori, thank you. Let me return to the chairman of the conference planning committee. Elechi, of course, Dr. Kure just mentioned apprenticeship, one of the things we see in the southeast region of Nigeria here. But going through this idea, what formed this idea, we can see sports, apprenticeship, mentorship, as mentioned this morning, and financial literacy. But take us on these sports and apprenticeship first, sir. Why these are being seen or to be treated as an educational pillar and not just recreation? Because one would say, as sports, is it not something that we usually do? I mean, either in third term or second term, then just for recreation and sports activities. So why do we have this? To the building up of this idea, talking about reforms we should be having in our secondary education, sir.
Yeah, that's actually a very important question to ask, and actually a very relevant one for this discussion, because sports is treated as an educational pillar. It's not just recreation. It's because it contributes directly to learning, development, and life outcomes in ways that classrooms alone cannot do. Education, systems, well, I would say take sports seriously for a variety of reasons. And that's number one. You can talk about that sport teaches transferable life skills. Sports develop skills that are explicit educational outcomes. And this includes discipline and time management. You can talk of goal setting. You can talk of teamwork and leadership. You can talk of resilience and coping with failure. A lot of failure going around. So we can't cope. We wouldn't be rounded. And you can also have outcomes like better decision making under pressure. These skills, transfer directly, to academics and to careers and to their civil life. And you can talk of things that we also know that's a very strong link has been proved, by research, a strong link between cognitive, between cognitive and academic performance. The research has consistently, shown that regular physical activity improves concentration, improves the memory, and also improves on classroom behavior, and it's also associated with higher attendance and lower dropouts. These are things we can look at. We can also see that sports house is also a practical learning environment for teaching things like fair play and ethics. You can talk of respect for rules and authority. You can talk of accountability. You can talk of integrity. And as you would imagine, like theory-based moral education, sports kind of makes this values observable, and accessible, and you can assess that, through the behavior right there where the sports is playing out. And you can talk of issues like social development and inclusion. You're building social skills and empathy. You're doing encouraging cross-cultural interactions, promoting gender equity and inclusion. You're supporting students who may otherwise struggle in purely academic environments, and things like that. Okay, you can equally have that sports is also a pathway to opportunity, for some students. Sport could open for scholarships, as you would imagine. This all over the whole place, both in the country and abroad. You can also provide career pathways for things like coaching, sports science management, and sports management. And you can also have, other outcomes like improved school engagement and motivations, and a variety of things we can talk about. But just in short, to kind of just round it up, we can say that sports, is an educational pillar because it educates the body, the mind, and the character. It improves academic learning and conditions, teaches skills, that is good for the development of the person, and prepare students for the real world challenges. In kind of a summary.
All right, Elechi, thank you. I believe, especially under this, very recently rather, under this administration of Governor Alex Oti in Abia State, we've seen sports activities for students across the public schools in the state. And then these things just happen once, for some time, you will not hear it again and all of that. And people will be asking, is it that this thing does not work properly elsewhere? Okay, let's bring in Mr. Adindu. How is this sports integrated into education in Europe that will give this platform for it to turn a career path at the end of the day?
You can see that sports, as it is, was recreational No, it was strictly for entertainment. But over the years, we have found out that sports has turned rather into a cult, or I will even say it has become a religion. People seem to concentrate on sports than any other thing. The Bet Niger thing and all these betting things all over Nigeria is a pointer to what I'm trying to say. There's a direction, there's a concentration on sports. Now, in the greater world, this is what they do. They look at all these guys who are not quite educationally oriented, not totally educational focused, but they have sports ability and they are losing out in the street. They pick them. They get them into boxing, they get them into football, they get them into every kind of sports. And that way they are channeled, they are still productive to the society, they are still self-actualizing and very, very orientated. So it's not all about education in physics and biology and mathematics and English. Sports also is an education. You see the proliferation of academics all over the world now. You know, in the countries where we live, you will see the children are trained, even when they are going to regular schools. They have a school that is strictly for sports academy. At the end of the day, the child has a choice whether to become a doctor or to become a footballer. And to tell you the truth, sports pays more than the regular job. Ronaldo or Messi earns more than any doctor in the world. You see, so at the end of the day, the sports becomes a better choice than regular academics. And I see that such a thing is happening in Nigeria, and especially in Abia State, with all the sports facilities that is being built by the present governor, trying to get children to pay attention to sports with a view to making a career out of it, not by betting or by playing the loser or a chance game, but really focusing on sports as a career, as a profession, as an orientation. And like I said, at the end of the day, making a better person to self and to society. That is how the greater world do it. And I think if it is injected into the Abia State system, it will work perfectly.
Adindo, I hope this will turn out well and successful at the end of the day. A very laudable idea. But we have a case in place. You know, often we use this avenue to catch talents, to identify talents. I have observed keenly, and we've discussed this issue, and I'm about writing something on it as well, that after you must have identified this talent, what happens to them? We don't have a system that continues to say, okay, let us push this person to that place that this person ought to be. It is one thing to identify these talents, and another thing to ensure that these talents stay for years. We have a society that once these people are picked, it's just for that purpose, just for that event. After the event, nobody talks about those boys, those talented boys and girls again. What about the situation, Adindo? Do you see it being, overcome? Do we have any possibility of overcoming this challenge? Hello, Adindo.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Now, you see, just like in every other profession, let me use the church for just to lay emphasis. You see, when you evangelize to somebody and he comes into the church, you got to do things to retain the person in faith. Otherwise, if he comes in through the back door, he will look. If he comes in through the front door, he will leave through the back door because he sees that person. You get somebody out of the streets at work, a place where such a profession will turn into some finance for himself and the society. You see, the world is out there. That is what our program is all about. This program that the Government College of my old boys have now rounded up. with UK and with Europe. We want a situation whereby these children are well trained. Look, let me tell you something, Daniel. 3/4 of the people running for London, for UK, are Nigerians. A lot of the sportsmen are in Europe, in America. They are Nigerians. What we are telling you is train them well at home, and they have a greater future outside Nigeria. Once they are good, 3/4 of the great sportsmen that are excelling in the world now, that are no longer answering Nigerian name, or they are not bearing Nigerian passport anymore. They were trained at home, and then they perfected their skill in the global realm, and now they are stars. And they are still there. It is only for us to hunt for them, search for them, develop a system that identifies these children, and then get them out of the street, and the world is there for them to conquer. It's not only in Nigeria that they must ply their trade. They can apply it outside the world. And why we are doing this is that we can now help in such exposure, in such revelation, in such help, so that they can also apply their trade outside. They train well and perform and perfect and participate in the Nigerian sports by representing our great nation. You see, that is what we can do. That is why this program is being put in place. We are found by a gentleman from Europe. Our founder is a reverend gentleman from Europe. And the factors are still there to be explored if you will really look for it. And that is why we are here, and we are ready to help. Thank you.
All right. Gentlemen, we are due for a break. When we come back, we'll pick other issues that have formed this concept, this idea, such as the apprenticeship, online learning, mentorships, and financial literacy, and how this could culminate in something that would, at the end of the day, give every secondary education student a good grant to live in the society. This is Standpoint, the center of all talks of politics. Stay with us. Away from home.
Our kitchen and barbecue sports offers you traditional Chinese delicacies, African and continental cuisines, tasty meals for your satisfaction.
Enjoy the taste of exotic wines, spirits, and champagnes as an exclusive lounge, rooftop, and nightclub.
Our facilities include event center, lifestyle suites, swimming pool, gym house, 24-hour power supply, Wi-Fi, and security personnel equipped with scanners and CCTV cameras.
For inquiries, reservations, and bookings, visit www.thelatinosconcept.com or visit us at 17 PCA Road, Umuahia, Abia State. The Latinos Arena.
Platinum Luxury Exclusive Sensation.
OKGA, Ohobiakwen Global Association. OKGA, Ohobiakwen Global Association. Yes, so they don't carry very big work couple. OKGA Health Walk and Health Check 2025 with a theme United for Vitality, Impressive Health as one. This one for the schedule on 25th December 2025. Time 6 a.m. Copy for the health walk. While 10 a.m. Copy for the health check. The meeting points for the health walk copy Ahmed Towa. While the base for the health check copy Omocha Health Center. Waiting for Ahmed for Hopia inside the Hopia LGA State. The road where they protect to this waka now from Ahmed Towa through FM John Road, Timbershed, Old Soldier Junction, Omocha Health Center. For more inquiries, make your great the number 0805 513 6894 and 0806 039 0453. Meanwhile, medical volunteers will go help to assist. Then when it comes to that day, OKGA, Ohobiakwen Global Association, together strong and thriving on.
96.5 FM, number 1.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and communication. country, Nigeria. So this is not partisan politics. Nigeria is on track. Nigeria is on toxic. How can we get out of this? And there are kind of people who say that it does understand what example and history and leaders of the country.
Let's keep you abreast with happenings in the politics.
All the resources available in this country has to come together at this time to see how best we can move forward. The interest of Nigeria is part of the standpoint.
Standpoint, the center of all talks of politics.
Standpoint, Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on Rapid 96.5 FM. Standpoint, Mondays to Fridays, 96.5 FM.
You're welcome back to Standpoint, the center of all talks of politics on Rapid 96.5 FM, sound of your city. Today, we have been looking at reimagining secondary education in Abia State through sports, apprenticeship, online learning, mentorships, and financial literacy, concerns and expectations. Our guests this morning are members of the Education Innovation Conference 2026 in partnership with Ministry for Basic and Secondary Education, Abia State. We have Elechi Agbe, Adindu Onukwe, and also Dr. Chidi Okore. Gentlemen, you're welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. All right. Thank you so much. Because it's surprising. I'm still wondering if this will come to stay, but so far so good. I mean, the reasons you've given and also points you've made, I believe I'm beginning to wear a new look in as much as this issue is concerned, that it's quite possible we could get that done, not just in Abia State, in Nigeria as well. But another interesting aspect of what we are discussing is these apprenticeships. One will be wondering its place in what we are actually talking about. Let's bring in still, I believe Adindo would also take care of this. But very briefly, before we move down to the next issue, sir, I mean, apprenticeships. Why is it essential for employability and skills development even after secondary education?
You see, I look at apprenticeship and I look at mentorship and I see them going in pari passu. They seem to, the learner and the teacher, they are the same thing, the mentor and the apprentice. Somewhere along the line, with concentration, without bias, I want to concentrate on the Igbos. They are the people that have perfected this apprenticeship syndrome to the point that it is being studied in very renowned higher education and higher institutions the world over. It's a situation whereby you have to look up to a mentor or somebody will train you. Outside the basic education, outside the secondary school or even elementary school curriculum, you learn how to a trade or a skill. At the end of the day, I read today where someone was settling the people that were apprentices under him 20 million, 20 million, 21 million, and all that. It was not into one of our distance. And you see that once you pay the attention, once there is focus, once there is that learning ability, we call it the fact, faithful, available, and teachable. You are fat, you will also excel. It has turned out to the point that even when after the secondary school education, after giving the university education, we still fall back on the apprentice who has learned the bus conductor, who has learned to engineer, mechanic. He is always earning something. And at the end of the day, the school dropout or the school unemployed school person, the unemployed graduate will rely on his brother, on his sibling who went to the apprentice school. Apprentice has not replaced secondary education, but it has proven to be a balance for the secondary education. And now it has turned out that while they are doing the apprenticeship school, like Elechi rightly pointed out, they can still learn some other additional skill addition, mathematics, like English, like perfecting in one area. One of the greatest entrepreneurs in the Eastern Nigeria has now, especially Igbo land, is Costa Rica. He didn't go to a regular school. His English is such atrocious, but he is such a successful person. He can express himself in simple English, and he can do what is the basic needs, but he went through this apprenticeship syndrome. And that is why what one of the politicians was saying, most of these guys that are doing Yahoo and in the street and all this, if you can bring them under a mentor, if you can bring them under that apprenticeship syndrome and train them well, they could be lucrative, they could be productional to the society. Instead of being losers and criminals. Very, very, very important. Look at the youth. When you want to train them and then you want to mentor them, you look at their life inside their head, you see that the mentors we look up to now, unfortunately, are the politicians, and they are nothing to write home about. The pastors, we are not.
Hello, Adindu. Hello.
To write home about. So the mentors and mentees. Thank you very much.
All right, Dr. Okorie, given the fact that we are not just looking at Abia State or Southeast Nigeria, because if something is working in a particular place and for it to be sustained and become a national phase, it has to go round. We are looking at, by extension, the federation, let's say Nigeria across different states of the federation. Don't you see challenges in especially this apprenticeship aspect? I mean, in getting this done in Nigeria, Dr. Okorie, let's get your reaction briefly on this too.
Thank you so much. Right, with regards to apprenticeship, I believe that it's something that is very essential but has often been overlooked. We can look at it from the point of view of a potential employee and a potential employer. Now, the employee actually bridges the gap between what he learned in school and real world competence. He identifies the skills that the employers require and then goes ahead to acquire it. From the employer point of view, they are able to input earlier on in the development of a future employee, rather than organizations complaining that they do not have employers with the requisite skills. It's an opportunity for them to go into the schools and start developing the skills such that they will have enough better equipped and qualified future employees. You know, it's kind of learning by real world experience. The employers, value experience, and those who have gone through apprenticeship understand certain key things about life: discipline, punctuality, teamwork, communication, professional behavior. So in summary, I think it's a win-win for both the student and the employer. So I feel that it's something that organizations would like to embrace.
Thank
you.
All right, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm coming back to you very shortly, but this idea sounds very, very enormous, and one would be asking questions, the possibilities of accomplishing this in Abia State and Nigeria. I mean, are there partners partnering with this concept? What role does the diaspora also play beyond donations? Let's get to understand, because to me, it looks very big.
Well, is that question
For
directed
Arjun,
to me?
no, it's for Arjun, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, like I've pointed out in the past, and I really want to focus on that. It is about the production of a very worthy individual, an individual with a focus, an individual with a future, an individual with a personality. You say, we were trained in government college, Jumai, because I zeroed down to my training and where we all come from. Government college, we are trained to be gentlemen. We are trained for the future, not necessarily the present. We underwent very rugged training so that we'll be better people in the future. But you can see when you look at Europe and you look at some other places, I don't want to mention them, there's a difference. In Europe, we produce gentlemen. The whole essence of our program, this mentorship, this online learning, this sports, this apprenticeship, and all that is wrapped into this program that is on the 28th of January, is to pronounce to the world that we have come of age, that it is a situation whereby the individual is mentored, has practiced apprentice or sports towards being a better person for the future, not relying on crass and very rich and the production of money instead of the individual. We want to produce an individual that at the end of the day, there's a difference between earning and learning, that you need to learn first before you earn, so that you can have an explanation from where your source is, and that source is maintained, and that source is retained, and that source is explainable at the end of the day, so that when you bring money into a system, especially into education, there is a source, there's an explanation for the money, not just throwing money into the system because you are rich. No donations will come when it is well programmed, not when it is scattered. There's no accountability. There's no recourse to the source. We are training the future generation that of Abia State and of Government College Umuahia and in Nigeria in its totality to have a focus on learning. Now, when you learn, you can easily donate money, and that money will have a reason, and that money will have a weight, and that money will have a focus, and that money will have an explanation. Rather than producing very crass human beings, very rich bourgeois, a bourgeoisment that has no bearing, that has scattered the society instead of building the society. That is what we are doing now. Thank you very much.
Dr. Okorie, why are partnerships and also with institutions important for this move?
Apologies. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I mean, the thing really is that the institutions, particularly the banks, are one of the largest employers in Nigeria. And they are the ones that these students are going to be working for in future. And it's very important for them to come in early and help develop their future staffing. And so it does exist in different parts of the world where organizations go into schools and impact the development of those that they hope to employ. And oftentimes, some of these banks employ directly from the schools where they have a relationship with, and they also can help turn the educational ideas into sustainable real-world opportunities for the students.
All right, thank you so much. This program is interactive, and we've been concentrating on reimagining secondary education in Abia State through sports, apprenticeship, online learning, mentorships, and financial literacy. We'll be looking at its concerns and expectations. But let's bring you in here. Let's get your view and your thoughts on this issue. 09160-333-965. You can as well use that number to drop us a message on our WhatsApp platform. 09160 000 965. Let's get your reaction as well. 09160 333 965. Mr. Chairman, Ilechi, let's get back to you. People will be asking why this conference at this point in time at Government College Umuahia, and also who are we expecting to participate and how would they be participating given this conference in our dear state, Abia?
Well, let's start with how how can people, participate or join. We have two options here. People can either be on site or online. Okay. On site will be people who are invited, and we live in there for practical logistic reasons to schools around the immediate environment, Umuahia, axis. Yeah. And those who cannot, who for very variety of reasons will not be making it on site, can join online through. You can see all the Zoom links on our social media feeds, and that we're going to put that out, put all those things out as we move on, so they can actually join. That's how we intend to do that. And as you would imagine, this is a kind of a hybrid. It's a hybrid thing. So, and that will open up to people from all over the world. Of course, we are operating all over the world. Our old boys and stakeholders are all over the world, and they can just join online and follow the deliberations and join in this event. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the other question, Education Innovation Conference 2026, that's one. Maybe based on the explanations we've gotten so far, that would have spoken about the conference. But why this time? Why at this time in Abia State?
Yeah, because we feel that there's a need to reimagine education. Of course, you know that if education, if whatever, not just education, but anything in general that is not producing the expected outcomes, you need to kind of retool it, rekit it, redesign it, reimagine the process so that we can get better outcomes. We all see that it's very observable that the products of our secondary schools, it's not, there's kind of a mismatch between the skills that are acquired in these schools and what is actually required for people to fit into the society. Either they are pursuing higher education or they are going into work, or just they're in that situation. So there's a need to kind of retool it, because the secondary education is such a pivotal part of the life of a young person. And this is happening between somewhere around, well, I would say 12 to 18 years. Now Nigerians are pushing it down all the way to 10 years in secondary education. So you can see when this is happening. And so it's very important that the policies are right. The policies that create the right curriculum that is right, is in line with global standards. It's also in line with the needs of the society. It addresses addresses all the needs that that we would have. The students themselves, in their development, moving on further and further in their lives, whether they're going to pursue higher education or pursue careers or trace people and all that. Because people, you would imagine yourselves that education in Nigeria seems to be kind of skewed towards the acquisition of certificates. I mean, people are forgetting that that we all are not going to be engineers. We all are not going to be doctors. You need people that are going to build a society. Of course, the whole world, the Western world is built. Is built by people who have this kind of skills. That we are preaching now, to get people to acquire skills that are necessary to build a society, right? You see, and this was one of the things that actually was part of the so-called 6334 education system that was actually put in the curriculum for several decades, but actually we had a policy, we didn't have the infrastructure to match the policies. I think this is a way to revisit that. You understand? We're going to revisit
All right.
it. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Okorie, maybe you have something to add to this, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that you asked why now.
Yes.
This is something that has always been, was required. However, now really is that what we're trying to key in on the present government's emphasis on education, sports development. So that's one of the key aspects of why now.
All right, that's good to know. We have a question. Let's try and fuse it in. This one is going to Elechi. Considering our curriculum, my name is Samson Agbai from UMA here. Considering our curriculum, will this be successful at the end of the day, sir?
Well, if it's not going to be successful, there will no need for us to try. At least this is, as we said, we are bringing together stakeholders, education administrators, policymakers to come together to brainstorm on how we can get this to work, right? So, and then as you'd imagine, at the end of the exercise, we have certain objectives we also need to achieve, things we want to kind of highlight and achieve to kind of roll out this process. The curriculum might need to change, depending. This is for the professionals to take a look at that, because obviously there will be a need to change things,
all right,
so that we can get a different outcome than what we're getting now.
Okay, we want to thank you people so much this morning for your time in bringing up this idea, seeing how we could embrace different levels of change or changes within our education, secondary education. The chairman of the Conference Planning Committee, Elechi Agbe, the president of GCUOBA, that's Government College Umaya Old Boys Association, Europe Mainland, Adindu, and also the president of Government College Umaya Old Boys Association, UK branch, Dr. Okore. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We hope to speak with you people again in order to also send this message across before this conference. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We appreciate your time on Standpoint today.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
All right. Thank you.
We will return to you for future
engagements.
Partnership, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. My name is Moses Ben, and that's our show this morning on Standpoint. Newslight is up next. Stay with us. Good morning.
Okay.